be interesting to see how and you know what, specifically about this matchup, I think Stylos does have a bit of an advantage. He does have those bombs, he has the arrows, the boomerang, and these are all obstacles that Daige will have to sort out. And if we learn something, he struggles with those after his fight against Phoenix, the snake earlier this in this commentary blog. So it should be very interesting to see how Daige performs against the vortex of projectiles that is Stylos' Toon Link. Young Link.
I can already see people like complaining, like you guys already know those type of tweets that are like, oh, get me out of this tournament. I'm facing a snake, and then I'm facing a young Link, and then I'm facing a Steve and stuff like that. You already know those type of comments. I can already see those on Twitter. But of course, this is a match to remember, because regardless of what we're seeing that honestly, Stylos has been a spectacle to see, because he uses all of the tools that Toon Link has very, very well, and that's something that I do admire about him, because he's using it just so impressively. I just love to see how he strings everything together, using all those projectiles, using the angles, using this sword, and using those conversions, which he very rarely misses.
Eso.
And he just already missed two. I know I know you're gonna be in the comments like, bro. But yeah, I just like.
We were mentioning this yesterday with Colt. We were watching some Stylos matches, and yes, exactly as you mentioned, Stylos rarely ever misses any of his conversions. Now, against Sonic, it could be a little harder, right? Like it's a moving target, a very low-profile character when he runs, when he moves. So yeah, it might be a little harder to connect those. However, if anything, Stylos is one of the most consistent competitors that I've seen ever with Young Link, at least over here in this side of the border in Mexico. So it's very interesting to see, and we can see it right now in the numbers. Right now, is Stylos still holding that first stock with a famous 1, 2, 3, whereas Daige is still struggling to get anything started out of it.
Right, and even so, even though Stylos is once again missing some of those confirms, I do really like to see how he's simply holding his ground, like there, right there, just calling out that jump with the downer, and you know that downer is an option that you do have to commit to. Yeah. So it's very, very difficult to like just simply get that and just like be free of it, and you know. So I really like how he's doing it. Right now, I do see honestly that Daige is just struggling quite a bit against this Young Link, because 166% is not a percent that you want to have against a Young Link, because why, he's on the lighter scale. You really don't want you want this kid to be dead as soon as possible. And I know that sounds a bit weird out of context, but I promise you it's okay.
Yeah, and right now Stylos did a lot with just his first stock, so that has to be quite a, oh, look at him go, just getting that Kokiri sword out there, trying to get unpredictable attempt to land that strike. And again, Young Link's aerials are just so good at controlling airspace, so it's absolutely necessary. Hero spin to get something started, gets the conversion into a clean 40%. A lot of people complain about other characters' ability to just bring you from 0 to 60 to 50, but I think there's a lot more characters that people take account of just how easily or how consistently they can achieve this feet. And look at him go with a Kokiri once again, encrusting it upwards towards Sonic, which it's really unfortunate because Daige hasn't been able to find a good opening for him to approach. It's just Stylos so commanding when it comes to determining who owns the stage at this point.
Yes, and of course, I mean, that's exactly what you have to do with the zone or with the projectile character like Young Link. You have to say, you know what? These areas right here, no, they're off limits, right? You can't use them. Like, you can't use them. You have to force your opponents to believe that the only place that they can move is the one that you determine. And that's exactly what Stylos has been doing consistently within this match. He's been telling him, like, no, you can't go there. Oh, you try to go here? No, I'm sorry, you can't do that either. And stuff like that. So he's constantly just making him go off limits. And that's something that I really do have to admire coming from Stylos. But right here, Daige, obviously, he has that experience of naturally within the matchup to like completely understand how and why he's doing this and adapt accordingly.
Yeah, I am a little unsure whether Daige has knowledge or how much bracket experience he has on Young Link, because I don't think out of the top of my mind of any Young Link or any prominent Young Links over there in Monterrey, Nuevo León. So it's interesting to see how he's going to adapt. We saw him during the mid-match camera layout. he was just breathing, trying to recollect himself because that was quite impressive. Stylos did amazingly with just first stock, so Daige really needs to go for these options, and just like that, challenging Stylos as he tries to recover, getting that first stock quite early on. And let's just hope that Daige manages to get something more out of this, which is still his first stock.
And I really like to see the fact that most of the times that Stylos actually, does something. There we go. Finally getting that downer once again and actually tying this up. Stylos, even though he did lose that stock, he did not get hit at all during all that time. And that's something that I have noticed that Daige tends to get desperate about. The fact that he's not hitting his opponents is something that causes him to fall into desperation. And that's not something that should be the case, because we're seeing right here almost a 0 to death right here, 127%. And finally, after almost a complete minute, is able to actually touch this the character made by Stylos right here, this young Link that, Jesus, is just on fire. And I really don't mean to make a pun about his fire arrows.
Despite that, I 100% agree with you. The fact that Daige's game plan is just overwhelm your opponent, be ever on their face, suffocate them, and the fact that he's not being able to find this. What a nice conversion though from Daige against the spike. Let's go. That is Daige, the aggressive demon, the blue blur that will always tries to chase you down. However, Stylos will not take that for granted. He will not make it any easier for him. And we're going back to neutrality, 0% on each side. And just like that, look, things are looking extremely even for both of them.
Very well played on behalf of both of these players. I really like the fact that they're just like, okay, let's take a back and forth, right? Because first it was Daige and then it was Stylos, and then immediately once again Daige and then Stylos. And that's something that I really like, because this has happened as well within the set, that they've been just exploding at each other immediately. And this happened as well against Phoenix. And once again, no pun intended in regards to Snake, but it's just that the playstyle that Daige has is so explosive as well. Once he gets hit, once he gets a couple of hits, he tries to extend it ever so much, and effectively avoiding right there that spring jump. But very, very well done on behalf of this player that is just consistently throwing out all of these options.
Yeah, they are absolutely ridiculous. The way that they're just putting their opponent on edge at all times is just absolutely beautiful. And I know that you guys are enjoying it just as much as we are, because right now Daige is having a great opportunity to get something done here by the ledge. Gets the spring trap, unable to confirm the stock just yet. Stylos with a masterful recovery and still nullifying Daige's approaches with that nair, which we know is absolutely strong. Just goes to par. Oh my god, I love the play style of that boomerang. Just how quickly he brings it back. That's going to be the stock, and that is going to put Daige with a #1 in the scoreboard. Beautiful adaptation from the blue blur for a Monterrey. Putting Stylos in a really tough position, because that was nerve-wracking for both of them. I know it was nerve-wracking for both of them, really, because they were on edge at all times. And despite the fact that Daige was hoping to get his game plan to work as intended, the hyper aggression, the always hunting down, Stylos did a phenomenal job at stopping that and challenging it to some degree. So they were being super aggressive, and it kept working, and it was just a delight for all of us to enjoy. And now we're going into game number 3, 1-1 on each side of the scoreboard.
Very well played on behalf of Daige right there, being able to close out that very close set as well. So I understand more so why Stylos now wants to actually take him to Fountain of Dreams. But I find it to be very strange, because, with these platforms, one would think like, oh, okay, I mean, with the platforms, it's going to be a lot more difficult for the projectiles to actually hit. But that's the case. It's not. It's not really what one would think. And obviously, Stylos is the one that managed to get to the counter pick, so I really like the fact that they're going to Fountain of Dreams. One of my favorite stages, not going to lie, but I can also understand why people don't tend to prefer it. There's a lot of things going on, but let's go straight into the match, in which Daige is actually dominating quite well.
Yeah, right now Daige is opting for the hyper aggression. It's working every time Stylos tries to put out an option, an aggressive option. It just gets contested by Daige, and of course on his favor. This is the first time that The blue blur has a solid lead, but we know that that might disappear in a couple of seconds. Stylos is no slouch when it comes to racking up damage, and of course, the item play is absolute pivotal, which allows Stylos to just let those rip, and they will get confirmed every single time he gets a good opening and a good opportunity to just let those rip. It's still very dangerous because if you let go of that shield, you will get punished in return.
Of course, and I really like the fact that right now it's actually been Daige, the person who took the first stock. And even though the gameplay that we've been seeing is a bit more on the calm down tempo pace, it had not been anything less but explosive, because these players, they have this build-up, this consistent build-up, and they find a way to make it all explode in the moment that you least expect it, especially because what one would think are confirmed things like the down tilt into an aerial, stuff like that. The Daige finds a way to actually use like smash the eye and correct the eye in regards to like actually being able to move out of it. So that's something that I really like to see. The fact that both of these players have had the adaptation necessary in order to like punish things, like right there we're seeing, for example, did adapt quite well but just didn't get the correct punish, is something that I love. I really love, because we're just seeing that honestly they're learning to fight each other as they're fighting.
Yeah, and that's absolutely important. Right now gets the confirm of the hero spin into the up air. I do love in the Fountain of Dreams how the platforms move. It does make for a weird interaction, especially whenever you want to get to take a break. Of course, you can take the highest of the platforms as they move. Stylos opting for a very low defensive aggressive option there, but not getting punished just yet. They're just challenging each other, landing the up smash. Now it's Daige who holds the lead. That's been the trend so far in this game 3, definitely showing a bit of adaptation that's served its purpose just fine. However, Stylos really needs to get something done here. Otherwise, Daige will take the small advantage and create a big one, but those downers are absolutely lethal from Young Link.
Yes, and also as well coming from Sonic, because we did see them last set. We did see them last set that that Stylos was spiked by Sonic Xander, which isn't something that you see like every day, and it's very impressive to see as well, because it's a downer that sometimes you do have to commit if you don't do it correctly. So right here we're seeing that Stylos is able to catch Daige off guard. Where do you think you're going right now? And is simply a bit of a percentage down, almost 50%, but nothing that Toon Link can't immediately be able to make as well.
Yeah, we know, and we've mentioned this before, just Stylos's confirms are insane, and just like that, things are looking quite even, charging that forward smash, trying to commit a little too much, but that will allow Daige to just infiltrate himself and deal a little bit more of extra damage. Careful here, the boomerang will lead into a forward air from Young Link, and it's extremely dangerous. You don't want to get caught in any of those confirms. Careful here, because that's a very weird angle, and Sonic will take advantage of that. The spring once again hitting. You really don't want to let your opponent recover, but Stylos does anyway. That's ridiculous, Dio.
Ridiculous indeed, and this game could go either way right now, Serge, because we know that Young Link has the kill power, but Daige already has that backer. Is that going to be it? That dash attack finally is actually going to be able to take it. Stylos upping himself in the game 2-1 within the last game that we could be seeing, unless Daige makes this a game number 5. This could be the end of Daige's run. And even so, Stylos is impressively adapting to what Daige has to throw, and we can see that Daige is just simply said, you know what, I just need to take a breather. Just calm down. But I can see it. I can see it. That consistently, Daige is just understanding what he has to do, but it's just Stylos just imposing himself on it.
Yeah, it's just a part of his game plan, right? It's working, and now in Northern Cave, the opportunity to just play around, and you know, the position of those platforms by the sides, barely looming, leaping into the edge of the platform, will allow for a lot of easier setups when it comes to punishing recoveries. And that hero spin barely missing its mark. It seems like they're just checking each other out, feeling what the right approach could be. They're taking advantage of just the openness of the middle side of the stage. Those platforms being so to the edges will allow for a little bit more of aerial playstyle in the stage. So stage control will play a lot in regards of just the grounded playstyle and the aerial as well. And I think it does benefit Young Link quite a lot, if you ask me.
Of course, and I completely agree with that. Right here, Daige is really more on the offensive side in a way,
Yeah,
but it's just that Stylos just has that playstyle on lock in order to be able to like just zone him, slow him down. Even though it is Sonic, the person that you're trying to slow him down, which is quite a bit on the difficult side.
yeah,
It's completely understandable that Stylos is just trying to make him say, you know what, you can't do this, you can't approach, you're trying to do
right.
this. Nope, nope, not at all. And Daige is just understanding where and when he can attack, because regardless of what could seem like an unbreakable wall of projectiles, with the speed that Sonic has, he can
True.
be able to break it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The fact that Stylos really wants to stop him despite the barrage of projectiles is just not happening. Careful here, the back throw could be enough. Yes, it is. It is a great opportunity for Daige to just seal this deal up. However, he needs to bring this game back in order to continue into this loser side of bracket. And Stylos is not going to make it any easier. He is going to put out every single projectile. That confirmed once again. Stock is taken, and not with a lot of not a huge deficit on the Young Link main side. So it's interesting to see how they're going to start opening opportunities for both of them to just go in. No, careful. You don't want to make such mistakes as going so far down in a way that you won't be able to recover. But just like that, Stylos keeps taking advantage of those stray spin dash.
And once again, going with the nair right there, trying to hit him with the boomerang and a bunch of trades.
The trades.
And that's, yeah, like trades everywhere, looking like a merchant shop out here. Because something that I do see that is that Daige, it's just constantly within his face. It's just constantly in his face. And Stylos is just finding every single option to get him out. And even though Daige is being very stubborn, like trying to get in as soon as he can, it's working for him in a way, because that stray damage is slowly but surely adding up. And that's when he starts to capitalize a lot off of what he's doing. And just right now, Daige is, even though he is within the losing side right now because the percentage isn't quite within his favor, I do understand what he's doing it, because if he doesn't close that gap, he will lose. And he knows this. He understands that closing the gap between Young Link and him is exactly what he needs in order to be able to take this game for his own.
100%, and great recovery there from Stylos, acknowledging that Daige was going to go as deep as possible to try to land a hard read with that down smash. And as you mentioned, the percentage deficit is absolutely important here, because really Young Link doesn't need much other than an aerial to get the stock, whereas Daige really needs a hard read or a great edge guard. And that's the scary part, right? Because you know that as soon as Young Link gets an opening, he will try to go for those. Even straight down airs, up airs, they will be more than enough to take stocks. And it's Daige who's struggling because he wants to circle around Stylos, and it's just not working quite as intended, because every time he tries to go around, he finds himself with a projectile on his face, or even worse, the Kokiri sword.
Yes, I was just about to say that toy sword that really hurts a lot is actually making the difference in this occasion. Even though Daige is just going for every single option that he has, it's still not enough. Like I mentioned, that rack up, you noticed that there was like a deficit of like 40% in regards to Daige right here. But now it was tied up towards that last part. And once again, an incorrect option, and Daige just fighting for his life right there. Possibly on the last stock for his tournament, while Stylos still has another game if he can make this happen. If he gets the game that Daige wants, of course. Now we're going to be seeing here, of course, the Daige just simply going in right here. Exactly all the damage it needs, but getting intercepted immediately with the down throw. Going to eat a bunch of percent off of this, and the gap starts to grow once again. You do not want to see Daige getting desperate right here, because the moment that he gets desperate against Toon Link, he will be losing. So now on the edge right here, but no, both of these players understanding where and what they have to play, trying to extend right there, but no, not even close. Stylos just removes himself completely from the vicinity right there, and now we're back to neutral.
It just has to be so scary for Daige, because he knows that every time that Stylos fakes an opening, it's just an opportunity for him to challenge. Once again, gets a tilt, not enough to punish, tries to go for the 2-frame. Another opportunity. Daige really needs this edge guard. The spring goes out, and just to scare him enough to provide the window of opportunity that the competitor from Monterrey needed in order to bring us to game number 5. Just scaring him enough. Stylos knowing that he had no jump to rely on if that spring were to hit. It has to be heartbreaking because he was so close to the ledge, but yet so far, because that was an impressive pressure opportunity for Daige, which he definitely took advantage of. We're going into game number 5, last opportunity for either of these competitors to proceed on El Abierto Tampico.
Abierto Tampico, which has been a pleasure to be here as well, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just wrap it up right here, ladies and gents. This is going to be the last game of the set. We're going to be having Stylos against Daige in Northern Cave once again. And this is going to be last game for both of these players. Only one will come out and emerge as victorious, and the other will succumb against the opponent. Now, will it be Daige fighting for his life against this unbreakable wall of projectiles, or will it be Stylos the one who succumbs against this blinding speed of the blue blur? We will be seeing it right now, ladies and gentlemen, as we're starting off Stylos with a good lead of 43%, a chain of uppers right here, and immediately trading off. And the fact that the arrows trade with the spin dash is very nice, and it just stops him completely within his track.
It has to be so scary for Daige, because really every trade is against him. Like, just Young Link does so much damage every single time they interact against one another. Careful, that allowed him to just nick him just enough so that he couldn't recover in time. What a breath of fresh air for Daige is, because again, those trades were never in his favor. They're always trying to stop him. They're always trying to raise the percentage against him, and it's just not much needed for Young Link in order to bring that deficit back up. Daige is looking really, really good right now. He's feeling comfortable enough because he has nothing to lose quite yet, and he's not quite as close to death percents, at least not yet. Maybe if Stylos finds the greatest of reads, maybe here, but no, it's still quite living, and it will allow Daige just put a little extra 10, 20%. Any number counts at this point, and maybe if he gets the edge guard here, never mind. That's gonna be Stylos' touch of luck right there.
Exactly, because sometimes all you need is just a bit of luck, sir.
Yeah.
All you need is just a bit of luck, just a bit of everything. People who don't know, luck is a combination of every single thing in the world. And I'm not gonna lie, I really like the fact that Stylos, even though he is within the deficit, he generally tries to make the comeback. He's always trying and always pushing forward in regards to like making this possible. And even though he got hit with that aspect that almost, oh my god, he almost died. Daige almost died off of that interaction. And I just find it impressive to see that Stylos is just completely fighting every single time. Like, he does not give up in the singles for Daige.
Yeah, I do love the way that Stylos is using his boomerang. Like, he's just sometimes just avoiding the regrab on it, so it just arcs up in weird angles so that if Daige is holding that platform, it would still connect. It's just a culmination of just the knowledge of the characters, of each competitor's characters here. Now, you gotta be careful, because on the ledge, we've seen Daige do absolutely phenomenally. No read on that tech situation. However, Stylos still looking quite good, despite the fact that Daige is now holding the ledge and the edge guard. Once again, the competitor from Monterrey with the lead. The last stock for the Young Link is right here, and he needs to make the most out of it, because this is his last opportunity to remain alive in the Tampico Open. This is super scary for both of them, because they know, they acknowledge that their opponents are absolutely strong, and this is the last straw for both of them.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel that Stylos is playing with a bit of fear. I have noticed that he's starting to play with a bit of fear. Why? Because he's not confirming as much as he used to. Even though he used to be not dropping those at all, and that's what was super impressive on behalf of him, to just like consistently start to use all of his projectiles in a way. I've noticed that once he connects, sometimes he won't go for the follow-up. Why? Because he's doubtful, he's hesitant in a way. And that's something that Daige has actually made him do. So you can't really blame him, of course, but it becomes a nuisance. It becomes a wound in his side to be constantly doubting, second guessing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, and the hard part comes here, where both of them are nearing those deficit, those damaging, those very frightful numbers. Careful here, because Daige opts for a low recovery, or rather a low edge guard. However, it's still not connecting just yet. Nair once again to put Daige in a very difficult situation where he has to recover low. Not tell me the Kokiri sword once again with the spike, the inverted spike. It's absolutely ridiculous. Send him all the way up to the upper blast zone. Very unfortunate for one of the best in Monterrey, Nuevo León. They were so close, providing us with a ever so slightly game 5 that you really didn't know who was going to take it, because both of them were doing great adjustments overall, and they were just giving it their all with their respective characters. You could tell that these competitors not only enjoyed this battle, I'm sure it was nerve-wracking